Hi, and welcome back to Paper Fiore. I am Kristen Slewin, and I am so glad you're here to celebrate Simon Says Stamps' new release, You Are My Favorite. These have gorgeous stamp sets, some dies, beautiful embossing folders, and they are all geared toward things that you love, especially mom. So I am featuring today the Mother's Day stamp set, and we will be making 4 cards. Now, this stamp set has beautiful sentiments as well as adorable little silhouette butterflies. And butterflies must be trending right now because I am seeing them everywhere. Now, we are going to be doing the exact same technique to make 4 very different cards. So I'm going to start off with an A2 card front, and we are going to repeat it the same thing on the 4 different card fronts. So I'm using an A2 card front for mine. And I'm going to start off by using my static tool here and doing it on all 4 of my A2 panels so that I'm just going to pop these suckers out one right after the other. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my stamp wheel. I've started with the large sentiment. I want that to be the front and center of my cards. So I always start with my large sentiment if it is a stamped sentiment. So I'm going to set that in the center, and then I'm going to put all of those adorable little butterflies all around it and get that all set up in my stamp wheel. Now that I have my layout completed, I am going to use my Simon Says Stamp T ruler to make sure that my sentiments are parallel with the bottom of the card. Nothing looks worse than having a crooked sentiment, so it just makes it look that much better. Once everything is laid out exactly how I want to do it, I'm going to use my stamping platform to pick up all of those stamps and get started on my stamping. So I will be heat embossing all of my images with white embossing powder from Altenew, and I use deli sheets to catch my powder. I find that works really well. It's biodegradable. It's very, very, very affordable, and I just really like using it. So I'm going to be using the Versamark ink to do my stamping, and any embossing ink will work. This is just what I happen to have right on top in my drawer, so that's why I used it. Now I will be repeating this process on all 4 of my panels, and I'm doing it all at once, doing all of the stamping and embossing at once, and then I will heat set them all at once as well. I just find that process makes it go a little bit faster, and I just have them lined up on my desk, one right after the other, and I'm able to pop them out pretty quick. Now, one of the tools that I use consistently when I am doing heat embossing is a silicone tool. I find that these work way better than a paintbrush because it picks up, it kind of like makes the loose embossing powder kind of stick to it. It's easy, it picks them up, and then it's not just brushed around with a paintbrush. I'm going to link some down in the description below so that you can pick some up for yourself. They're one of my favorite tools that I use in my craft room. Now that I have all 4 of my panels done, I have picked out my colors that I want to use for all of my card fronts. Now my first one here has Seafoam, Ocean, and Raindrop. All are Simon Says Stamp inks, which I love. They are wonderful for ink blending. And then you'll also see that I will have this extra little piece of paper in all of my videos that I am also ink blending. Whenever I ink blend, I always rub off any extra ink onto this extra piece of paper, and then I have a background just sitting around that I can do whenever I need to whip out something really quick. Okay, so I am going to add on a stamp over my image as well, and I am using the background stamp called Sparkle Strands from Simon Says Stamp. It's a great basic background. Now I'm going to use 2 colors on my background. I used Seafoam in the center of the stamp and then Ocean around the edges. And then I'm just taking a blending tool just to soften up the edges between the 2 colors. Now that is stamped, I am going to just wipe up the extra ink that is on top of the embossing, and there it is. Now this card is going to be a shaker card, and I'm using some acetate from a package that I received in the mail. I'm putting down some ultra sticky tape. Altenew has a great tape that's just like this. I just happen to have this one sitting next to me on my desk. So that's why I used it. I put it around all 4 edges of my card, and I'm going to go step by placing the acetate onto that tape. So I'm just folding it over. I'm then going to take a pair of craft scissors and trim off the corner. So I'm trimming off the corners from the top and the bottom of what I just put down. And then I will go ahead and move on to the next piece. So the next piece I'm doing is the other side, and I will repeat the process by placing the acetate on and then trimming the corners. So it's just like a little package. And that way I don't have too much acetate that's going to bulk up the back of my card. Then I will go ahead and remove the tape from one of the other edges, and it creates a pocket for the front of the card, which makes it very easy to add in your sequins or whatever sparkly bits and bobs you want to add into it. Finally, you just take off the last piece of tape backing, and there you have it, your little shaker card for the front of your card. Now, I have used a piece of dark blue cardstock that I actually received in a kit. I don't know the name of it, I apologize, but it matches the raindrop perfectly. Now for my second card, I'm doing the exact same technique that I did on the first card, the blue one. I am going to be doing my ink blending onto my paper. I will also be taking some of that extra ink and putting it on an extra scrap paper to save for a background in the future. Then I will also be stamping it with the Simon Says Stamp Sparkle Strands background stamp, just to add a little extra variety to the front of my card. I'm going to whip right through this just because you've already seen it once, so you won't see me stamp it on this one. Now, I am making this into an easel card, and my card base has already been folded, and it is the front part of the A2 card base has an embossed line at 2 3/4. And I apologize I didn't get that on video, but that is where it is at 2 3/4 on the front of an A2 card panel. And you want to glue down that card panel just to the bottom half of the easel card. Now I'm also going to add in a stamped sentiment for the inside of the card, and that will hold up the easel. As you see here, I have it propped up so that I know where I want to put that sentiment, and I will adhere it with some really good tape. I chose to use the sticky tape, but you could use liquid glue here as well. I'm putting the sentiment at the lower part of the inside of the card base. That way, when the easel is up, whatever sentiment you write on the inside of your card is kind of hidden. It's not going to be out for everyone to see if it gets personal. So it's going to be behind the easel part. So you have all that white space on top in order to show off your sentiment. Now for this third card, I am going to be doing my ink blending a little bit differently. I have chosen these 3 colors, guava, butter, and dew, because I feel like it makes a really good rainbow. Now, I have done the yellow first because it's my lightest color, and I've expanded it more. I didn't divide my ink blending into thirds. I kind of expanded it out so that when I put the guava and the dew on there, I would be able to make the orange and the green. Now, like I did on the first 2 cards, I am going to be doing a background stamp on it, and this time I am using Tin Roof. This is one of my all-time favorite background stamps, so I like to use it as much as possible. So I will be stamping this over it, and I will be doing the same idea that I did on the first 2 cards. When I do my stamping, I will be putting down color that will go over the ink blended color that matches it. So I will be using the same 3 colors again, and I will be doing the diagonal opposite of the way it is. Does that make sense? So that when I flip it over, it's going to be following the diagonal of the ink blending that I've already done. And I'm starting off again with my lightest color. When you start off there, then you don't have any problems with you getting any of the wrong color onto that light color. So I'm again using my darker colors, and I'm going to just use a little soft brush on there just so that it softens up that color in between the transitions so I get that rainbow effect. And then I'll wipe off the extra ink just using a cloth. Now, because the yellow was so light, I opted to go in with some colored pencils, and I just very lightly went around the Mother's Day sentiment so it would pop up a little bit more on that background. So if you ever have a white heat embossed and you want it to show up a little bit more on a background, just use a little bit of a dark colored pencil. Now I decided to make this into a shaped card, and so I am using Spellbinder's oval dies, and I will be making or cutting out my card base using that die. Now I've already folded the card base, and it's an A2 card base, and I will place that die on it so that I can make sure that the fold doesn't get cut off. I am using highlighter tape to hold down my card to the die. I like how it works in the die machine and doesn't really hold onto the paper incredibly well so that it doesn't rip it once it goes through that die machine. So once I've got it cut out, I will go ahead and peel off all the corners. And then I'm also going to be doing a plain one, just plain, same size, and you'll see why in a minute. So I've now cut out the piece that I have inked and stamped on, and I did it on the 2 sizes smaller. That way I will have a pretty white border around on my card front. Now, once that I have that finished, I want to make a fun fold. So I am going to add in a fold in the front, and I'm going to be doing it at 2 1/8. I tried to zoom it in. It's a little blurry, but it is at 2 1/8 so that you can see where that was. And that will be for a fun fold that we do with it. Now, Simon Says Stamp has come out with these foam sheets for you to add dimensions to your card. So that's what I'm going to use today. And I've gone with an oval, one size smaller in the nested series from Spellbinders. That way I can put it on the back. I don't have to try and center it. It's going to fit in there perfectly and not show around the edges. And I am using some Simon Says Stamp craft glue. I like the thicker glue when I'm doing this kind of assembly where I have a card front that I'm adhering to a front of a fun fold. That way I can make sure it doesn't fall off. So I'm adding that again here, and I will add on my front of my card. So now when I open it, it's going to have this fun little fold. Okay, and see how cute that is? Now I'm going to add in some gem sparkles from Altenew, which is my all-time new favorite sparkle. I have to have it on everything. I'm like literally, I had to buy them all because I'm obsessed with the sparkle on it. Now this is the completed card. I did cut off just a smidge off the bottom so it would stand up better on display. Now this final card is the easiest card of the 3. The front panel will be done exactly the same way as the one previous. And I'm using the colors Lemonade, Fairway, and Tropic. And again, I'm using my little scrap paper off to the side. So I have a background paper at the end of my creating. See? I do that on all of my ink blending whenever I ink blend. It's just a great thing to do, and I have it on hand. I did stamp it with the tin roof as I did before, and I am using the Spellbinders freshly picked labels and tags to die cut that out. Then finally on my card front, I am using the Rainbow Splash Swiss dots, and that one was done. I did add some enamel dots at the center of all the little flowers on the background, and this shows you that you can make some of these very simple. So here are the cards. Here is the shaker card, looking all sparkly and fabulous. I really love shaker cards. They've become a new obsession, and I think it's because we've figured out how to make it easier. And then also the panel behind it is the inked panel that I made while I was making that card. So here is the one I just showed previously with the tin roof. And I really love the colors on that one. I think those 3 colors are wonderful together. Then this is the easel card with the fold, and look at how it shimmers in the background. I added in some shimmer using a glitter pen, and then I did add in the little sequins, and they're just more of a subtle sequin. And then finally, this one with the Altenew gems, which are, again, like I said, one of my favorites, and that is how that fun fold works. So those are my 4 cards. Now, here are some other cards that I also made with this stamp set. And this one also has a fun fold. So when you fold it open, it has a sentiment and then a space to write your lovely words. And then this is also another easel card that I made similar to the other pink one. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Make sure you go over to Simon Says Stamp as soon as possible so these things don't sell out. And here is a list of all of the different places that you can find me. I hope you have a wonderful, colorful day. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.